Thank you for joining me on the journey. This is Completed Christianity, so welcome back. Another episode of Being Complete. And today is fifth day, what they say, and we're going to start us a new series, and that series is going to be Pitfalls. Pitfalls that people fall into when they come into this Torah observant, Hebrew roots movement, as well as some obvious or less obvious Christian pitfalls that people fall into as well. So let's jump over here and take a look. So first thing we're going to talk about, our first pitfall, is the name. If the name matters, the name doesn't matter. What name is it? What's the most likely? What's the least likely? Things that surround this. And next time we'll talk about whether Yah even exists at all, because if he doesn't exist at all, then the name's not important at all, obviously. But I believe we can prove that, so we'll deal with the name first. So, the name first. Let's take a look at this. So we have a couple of ancient sources that give us clues about the name. So the name Yod-Heh, Wah-Heh, from Josephus in the Jewish War, in his writing, Josephus, he says, a mitre also of fine linen encompassed his head, being the high priest, about which there was another golden crown, in which was engraved the sacred name. It consists of 4 vowels. So I always thought, oh, these are all consonants and you got to add vowels. Josephus says they're 4 vowels. And these letters can act as vowels. So when they say that Hebrew doesn't have vowels, it's just not true. It just depends on how they're used and so forth. So it consists of 4 vowels. Well, and another from Clement, which Clement is writing in the 2nd century, and he gives us this quote: the mystic name of 4 letters is called, and he spells it out in the Greek like this. Okay, I-A-O-U-E, I-A-O-U-E. So when you say this as 4 vowels, E, A, U, and either E or A, E, A, U, A, E, A, U, A. So E, A, U, A, E, A, U, A. So this right here gives a good clue of what Josephus is talking about here. It's 4 vowels. Okay. And though he writes this out in the Greek as 5 vowels, you know, the OU is going to represent in Hebrew the Wah, and it's going to be Yahweh, Yahweh. So this is where we get the term, the name of the Father as Yahweh, as we say it all together. Yahweh, 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 Yahweh. And a option is Yahweh, Yahweh. Okay, but we're going to take a look at popular rendition, and this channel that is modern, a modern popular rendition. You don't find this in any ancient source, but in a modern rendition. And this is from a channel called the God Culture, has this video how to pronounce Yahweh. It may surprise you. And so he puts this up throughout the course of the video, and so he has Yah and says it Yahuwah. Well, this huh sound, it's Yahoo, not Yahoo. Okay, this huh sound, Yahuwah, that gives us a consonantal sound, goes against what Josephus tells us over here. So you take either these ancient sources or YouTube Creator. So we're going to take ancient sources over YouTube Creator. And so he presents this as Yahuwah. And in this video, he also says, basically scoffs at the name of Yahweh and says that it's the name of a pagan god. And this is a Gnostic tenet, that it's the name of a pagan god. Okay? And they say, name of a pagan storm god. You look it up, these images come up, Yahweh as a pagan storm god. And it did a AI song on this that's on the channel. But Yahweh being a pagan storm god, it's Gnostic in its origin, kinda. Depends on how far you want to go back. The real origin of this is that Yahweh led his people out of Egypt with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. And throughout the ancient world, even before that, there were various families that came down from Adam. Various families came down. They kept with the ways from Abraham came down. They kept with the ways that Yahweh had gave, because the law doesn't start at Sinai. It was just re-given at Sinai after it had been lost to the people for 400 years when they were in Egypt. So it's just re-given then, because you have Cain and Abel. They knew how to bring a sacrifice. They knew what kind of sacrifice to bring, and there's scant evidence, some evidence, that they knew when to bring a sacrifice, and that this sacrifice that they were bringing, is probably likely Passover. It's probably likely a Passover observance, foreshadowing the day that they would be led out of, their people would be led out of Egypt, like I said, with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. So the pagan nations saw these things. They saw the mighty works that Yahweh did through his people and say, hey, that is a mighty one that we need, because they're pantheistic. They got all these other gods, throw another one in the pot, no problem. Okay, so, but they see this power in this mighty one over here, and they're like, oh, well, we need that. We need this power. And so we worship Yahweh too. We serve Yahweh too. Just like it's discussed in another video that I did about the northern tribes, how that they're taken away, and the people that came in, the Samaritans, that they had problems with. Their problems with being attacked by the animals, and so they bring in a priest from the people that used to inhabit that land. Well, the people that used to inhabit that land got driven out because they were idolaters. So it's not a good thing, because this guy can't really show you how to keep the ways and customs of the land when he's an idolater himself. So all of these things just fall in line in a big bow with a package on it, that the pagan nations, they saw Yahweh as just another mighty one. and that they thought, oh well, we can use that too. Well, we can serve him too. But no, that's not the way it works. You got to give up everything else to be his, because he is jealous. He wants his people to be his own. He will not share his honor with another. And so, this idea of it being a pagan storm god, it is Gnostic. These images of videos on the screen from Gnostic informant talk about Yahweh, because in Gnosticism, Yahweh is the evil one. In Gnosticism, Yahweh is basically Satan or like Satan. Depends on the brand of Gnosticism you ascribe to. And so it's like that, and that they say that he is the mighty one that enslaved us all in bodies of flesh. We're the free floating sparks out in the universe. Yahweh gathered those energies together, enslaved them in bodies of flesh, and then in so doing, he gave us desires and then commanded us not to be able to act on those desires, and thus he's evil. And so this is the way that all of this comes down. And so this idea that the name of Yahweh is a pagan god, a pagan storm god, these ideas are Gnostic, and the foundation in that is that the nation saw the power and they wanted it, but they didn't want to do what they had to get it. Just like Simon the sorcerer, he wanted the power. He just wanted to buy it. He didn't want to do what it took to be worthy of it. So in this video over here, he gives this chart, and in this chart we have the Hey, Wah, and Yod. So, over here on the Hey, it gives that as an H. And so Hey, H, Ah. So that's where you can get the Ah. And the Wah as W-O-U, and more common, and most commonly it comes out as oo. This U is oo, and the yod is the Y sound, ya or E. So back over here, that's where we get the E, ah, oo, and or A, or ah. But E, ah, oo, A, or E, ah, oo, ah. It doesn't make any sense that Clement would give it to us like this, because this E in the Greek is not going to make an ah sound. It's going to be or a. E, ah, oo, a. Yahweh. And so, but presented in this, he basically said in this video, this guy basically says that, you can't have different pronunciations of a letter in the same word. Well, of course you can. I mean, we have it in the English all the time. And then most things say, well, this H, it's always said as ah, or it's predominantly said as ah. But in some cases, and in rare cases, special cases, and I believe that the name of the Creator, that's a special case. But here, you have this Men Shin He, which is Moshe, or Moshe. But it's not Moshe. So as we continue on, skip over here. So the deal is it can make the sound. It can make the sound. And then some people say, oh, well, you know, the name is Yehovah. You have this popularized by Nehemiah Gordon and Michael Rood. It's Yehovah. And they know it's not Yehovah. They're completely disingenuous about this. It's so plain. They know it. They know it. They know it. They know it. So, and they know it because this is the name, Yod-Heh, Wah-Heh, okay? And this is Adonai in the Hebrew with the vowel pointings, all right? When you take these vowel pointings and you plug them in here and you say this, it's Yehovah, okay? And so any teenager in a yeshiva that's learning Hebrew in the Torah, when they come to this, okay, and they see these vowel pointings, okay, that are the vowel pointings for Adonai, okay, when they see these vowel pointings, they know to say Adonai, not Yehovah. They know that's not what you do. When you see this with these vowel pointings, you say Adonai. But rather than replacing the name nearly 7,000 times like the English Bibles have done, in the Hebrew they still have this, but then they plug in these vowel pointings. So when you come to this, you know not to say Yahweh, because they don't do that in Judaism. And they know it's not Yehovah because of these vowel pointings. So you come to it, they know because of these vowel pointings to say Yehovah. I mean, they know to say Adonai because, you know, like I said, any teenager in a yeshiva knows this. So this name, it is Yahweh by most accounts. And so this name, it is Yahweh, and we can be fairly confident that that is what it is, and we can be 100% confident that it's not Yehovah, and very confident that it's not Yahuwah, but rather it is Yahweh. Psalm 89:34, my covenant I will not break nor alter the word that has gone out of my lips. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up. Comment down below. Comments of opposition are welcome. Just don't say anything dumb like we're not under the law. Word of grace, because you've been taught to use that verse outside of the bounds of its intended context. Subscribe now. Smash that subscribe button and ring that bell so that you get notifications of all future videos.